Hey, Shalom, can you hear me?
Yeah, shalom. I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you hear
Can you hear me?
me?
Hold on. See something.
Shalom, shalom.
Uh, let's see. Shalom. You there?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Your mic must not be on.
Hold on. It says it's on. It says it's not. It's not
Yeah,
muted.
shalom, family. This is Abraham Yasharahla from Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide. We thank you for tuning in tonight for our Friday Eve.
Shalom. You there?
Hey, shalom, I
Yeah,
can
I
hear
can't
you.
hear you. Can you hear me though? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear you. Your mic must not be on.
Oh.
Oh, well, I can hear you on the
It says
broadcast
it's on.
though.
It says it's not. It's not
Yeah,
muted.
shalom, family. This is Abraham Yasharahla from Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide. We thank you for tuning in tonight for our. Okay, I got to cut that off because I couldn't hear. But in any event, um, Shalom. I'm glad that you all are tuning in tonight. Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide. Again, my name is Abraham Yasharahla. Reading for me tonight will be Brother Levi Ben Yisrael. And tonight we want to go over what most Hebrew Israelites call basic precepting and understanding who the children of Israel are. We're going to decipher that a little bit tonight. You know, the children of Israel were once asleep, but now they are beginning to wake up. A lot of us have been in the truth for a long, long time. Some of us very short in the truth. And when I say the truth, I mean the truth that's in this Bible, the King James Version of the Bible. So tonight, as we get ready to get into the study, make sure you have a pen handy, make sure you have paper, and get ready to tune in. I'm trying to figure out why I cannot hear anything. I mean, it's on the broadcast. It's going out, Levi, but I just can't hear it in my ears. I don't know why, but that's okay. Um, Speakers. Hmm, I don't know. It don't matter. Okay, so tonight, actually get your pen, get your paper handy. This is a lot for a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters. So if you have some Christian brothers and sisters that are still struggling with Christianity and trying to figure out who they are, go ahead and share this link to them because tonight I'm going to go through some precepts that's going to help them out real good. Um, it won't be a long study. I mean, it's in depth. You know, I'm always precept heavy. One thing about Kingdom of Israel. We're going to read the Bible, and I'm going to go in and try to get you much of the information, as much as the information that I can get. Y'all got to excuse me. I just came straight off the road, took a shower, and I'm sitting at the desk, but I'm ready to go. And so I hope you're ready to go. So tonight, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and the share button. It's real important that you guys help us out with that because the more you like our videos, the more you subscribe to our channel, and the more that you share it, the more and more the information will go out. You know, the Most High has a mission for His Word, and He wants us all to participate in it. So tonight we're going to go over Israel was sleeping, but now they're beginning to wake up. Because a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters always ask me, well, how do you know you're a Hebrew Israelite? You know, what made you think that you were these people that were in the Bible? And for a long time, you know, when I was in quote unquote Christianity, see, I know what it is to be on both sides of the fence. I know what it is to be on both sides of the fence. Levi, you might have to turn the background noise down. I know what it is to be on both sides of the Bible. Before I came into the truth, I was a Christian pastor. Um, I had two small churches, very small. I don't even think we had 20 something people in the biggest one. The smaller one, we had about the same thing, but I traveled a lot. I traveled all throughout Canada and I traveled up and down the East Coast preaching. And so say, professing the gospel and doing the work of the ministry to the best of what I understood. But I always had these questions in the back of my mind when I would come across these things in the Bible. The Most High was waking me up then, and I was like, man, I just don't understand that. That don't seem right. This don't seem right. That don't seem right. Just do what you want and believe in Jesus, and you're all done. And so as I began to seek information more, I'm a quick story before I get in. Um, as I was seeking knowledge, I've studied all religions. I've studied pretty much all of them in Christianity, Baptist, Pentecostal. I was born and raised Roman Catholic. Then I studied Islam for 5 years. I delved deep into Islam because Islam was the most structured and relatable understanding of what I thought the Bible was. I liked their structure and how the family unit was organized. I liked how they were really living what the word was saying. For the ones that I met, I'm not saying all of them do, but for the ones that I met, they were living according to the word. But they still were worshiping, Muhammad and all this other stuff. So I couldn't see that in the Bible, so it didn't gel with me. So I left from that understanding, and then I started when I was in college with my wife. We went to college late. I didn't go to college young. I went to college in my 40s. So when me and my wife was in college, we began to study world history, philosophies, and different things. And because of my Bible background, I began to see a lot of these things like the philosophy crossed over into religion. And I began to see that world history crossed over into religion. And I took this art class, which was a world art class, and I saw that religion was crossing over even into art. And so I said, well, wait a minute, man, let me really start looking at this. So I started looking at all the different world religions, Confucianism. I forgot the one the Indians study. They got a whole bunch of different ones, but everybody had their own different religion. The Chinese got their own religion, Caucasians got their own religion, everybody's got their own religion. But we are here in the United States serving a blue-eyed, blonde-haired Christ. And I'm black. And what I was seeing, the difference in between being black and white was something wrong. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. It's just the way this world is set up and how things are structured is wrong. And when I was reading the Bible, I began to see these things in it. And so I was in New York, and I ran across Priest Sabak. For those of you that don't know him, Priest Sabak is one of the eldest elders in Hebrew Israel, the Hebrew Israelite community that's been on the streets forever. I'm 52. I saw Priest Sabak when I was 18. 18 years old, I saw him in New York. And then they directed me to somebody down in Brockton, which I lived on Cape Cod. They directed me somebody in Brockton. And that was my first introduction in what we call the truth and understanding. But when I went to the school where the brothers were, as soon as I walked in the school, they were like, where's your fringes? Where's this? Where's your beard? Where's this? And where's that? And I said, hold up, man, I don't even know what you brothers are talking about yet. So it kind of pushed me away from it because it seemed like they were just too militant and they weren't inviting. So it kind of pushed me away from the truth. And then as I got older, man, and started studying for myself and reading, most of you that know me know I'm a reading buff. If you look behind me, in all my life, I've just read everything. So, and I have good reading comprehension. I always had good reading comprehension, but some of the stuff still in the Bible, I couldn't figure out. It was just bewildering to me. And so as I begin to walk and start to apply some of these things in the Bible to my life, the Bible began to make more sense to me. And then as I begin to look at the breakdowns of who are the Hebrew Israelites and Deuteronomy 28 and all these different books in there, I said, well, wait a minute, that makes sense. Because I studied world history, this lines up with this. I've looked at the pottery from these time frames, and it looks like this and does this. So I said, man, there may be some truth to this. And so as I delved into it more, I found beyond a shadow of a doubt that the people of the book are the people that are here in the so-called Americas, the so-called black man, the so-called Native American of indigenous descent, the so-called Mexicans of indigenous descent. We are those people that are in the book. If us, who else is it going to be? There's nobody else that fits the description of these people in the book except us. Now I know that's a tough pill for somebody to swallow. And there's some things in this book that a lot of people wouldn't really want to talk about or regurgitate or have conversations about. But we have to, because in order for this world to change, we have to understand who we are. That's the most important thing. We have to understand who are we. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the book. Make sure that you got a pen and a paper so you can write these precepts down. Now I'm going to run kind of fast through this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time expounding on what these scriptures are, because for most Hebrew Israelites, you've heard these scriptures 1,000 times. But for my Christian brothers and sisters, you need these precepts and follow them in the line that I'm giving them to you, so it creates a clear path to understanding. There won't be any room of doubt. Shabbat Shalom, Cap, Byron, Shabbat Shalom. So, follow through these scriptures with me. There won't be any misunderstanding. I'm not going to co-elaborate. I'm not going to try to push you to get some understanding. I'm just going to ask that the ones that the Most High has given to us, our ministry, to hear these words as they go forth and let it touch your heart. Because if you've been seeking the Most High and you're trying to get some understanding, but nobody showed you how to go through this book, tonight we're going to show you how to go about it. Israel, they've been sleeping, but now they're beginning to wake up. Our first scripture tonight, we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 24. Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. And Brother Levi, if I go too fast for you tonight, just tell me, Officer Abraham, just say, hey, slow down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? My brothers and sisters, if I'm going if I'm going too fast for my brothers and sisters tonight, y'all just say, hey, officer, just go ahead and slow down a little bit. So first scripture tonight, Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4.
Come on, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
Okay, so listen here. One of the first clues that the prophet Jeremiah gives us is that, and he says, and thou, even thyself. So when he says thou, he could have been talking about anybody, but he even includes even thyself in this, okay? Shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve what? Thine enemies. You got to remember that. The people that did this to us are our enemies in the land which thou knowest not. So we're going to be brought into a place that we don't know anything about this. Now you got to remember, over there in the continent of what we call so-called Africa, brothers and sisters have migrated to all those lands over there. The only lands that were over here, you had to go over the water to get to them. So we didn't come this way, right? So it says here that a land which thou knowest not. So they're going to take us into a land which we don't know. Pay attention. That's clue number one. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall what? Burn forever. So the Most High is letting us know that he ain't letting it slide. Long as we in sin and living like the heathen, we're going to stay in this land that's not ours, and we're going to be serving our enemies. Okay? Let's go into the book of Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 9 through 12.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 9. And he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not,
Uh-huh.
and see ye indeed, but perceive not.
But perceive not. Now, I had a conversation coming home today. Like I drove, I was in Beaumont. Beaumont to Houston is about 2 hours. Well, actually, I was in Bay City. So I was on the other side of Port Arthur, which is about maybe 2 hours and something from where my
Mm-hmm.
home is. So I drove all the way home, jumped in the shower, got right behind the desk. But on the way home, we was having a conversation with my wife and my son-in-law. And I was like, when somebody brings you the truth and you see the truth, right? And you understand it for yourself, that is the truth. Why do you go back and perpetuate the lie and keep it going if you know that it ain't going to do nothing for you? It's just a lie. And beyond the lie, if you continue in the lie, it'll be detrimental to your discovery of who you are. And people don't understand that. It's like, okay, now you know it's the truth. And I'm going to give you a quick example. I ain't going to go too long. I was up in Kuntz, which is another 2 hours and something from here where I'm at. And I was coming through a schoolyard, driving by the school, and I happened to pick up my phone. And the police pulled me over and gave me a ticket for having my cell phone, um, out and on my ear while I was in the school zone. Now, I didn't even know anything about the law, right? But I guarantee you, I will not have another phone on my ear as I pass by the schoolyard anymore. I understand it. I totally understand. That's what it is. So I don't have to go back and say, oh man, I can get away with it. I'm gonna just keep doing it, keep doing it. No, I know that for a fact that if you have your phone on your ear driving through a school zone, you're gonna get a ticket. And so why do you? That's why the Bible says here, and he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, right? But understand not. It's like when you give them the word, they don't understand. And he says, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. All the prophecies of the Bible are coming to pass, and people are seeing them before their eyes, the different presidents that's going on, the wars, the famines, the coronavirus running around. All these things are coming, and they're talked about in the Bible. And he said, and you see indeed, but perceive not. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 10. Make the heart of this people fat,
Uh-huh.
and make their ears heavy,
Right.
and shut their eyes,
Right.
lest they see with their eyes,
Uh-huh.
and hear with their ears.
Now hold
And
up right there. Now hold up right there. Now he says, listen, go down and make the heart of these people fat. What? Give them the house, the white picket fence, good job, what we call a desirable family in here in the United States. And make their ears heavy. So anytime that they hear the word of the Most High, it's going to get heavy in their ears. They ain't going to want to hear it. It's like, oh man, you're weighting me down. It's too much. It's too heavy, brother. And shut their eyes. So even when they see what's going on in prophecy right before their eyes, they don't believe it. So this is the work of the Most High. That lets you know that some of us are not going to wake up. And he says what? Lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears. Go ahead.
and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed.
Okay, and you got to understand
Verse
that
11.
heart here, Salakia, that heart here, you got to understand when it's talking about heart in the Bible, it's talking about the mind. So understanding is where? In the mind, not in the heart. So we understand, it says, and understand with their heart, their mind, and do what? Convert. And what? Be healed. Okay, go ahead.
Then said I, Most High, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the
Stop right there.
houses without man.
Stop right there for a minute. Salaki, my bad. And then said I, how long? And he answered, what? Until the cities be wasted without inhabitant. That's how long some of our people are going to be asleep. When this thermonuclear destruction comes, they're not going to believe it till they see all the houses blown up and nobody around. That was the time of Jacob's troubles. If you haven't paid attention, go back a couple lessons I did ago, the time of Jacob's troubles. Go back and look at that. Keep going.
And the houses without man,
Uh-huh.
and the land be utterly desolate.
Right. Keep going.
And the Most High have removed, men far away, and there'll be a great forsaking in the midst of the land.
You understand that? And the Lord has what? Removed men. I keep telling y'all, people don't understand this. They give Hashitan, when the world calls Satan, too much credit. He ain't doing nothing in the world. Everything that's happening right now is because of the Most High. This is judgment. You got to understand this. And you know, a lot of people ain't never heard this before said this way. Satan's on the payroll.
That's right.
Yeah, he's on the payroll. He works for God. So he's doing exactly what the Most High allows him to do and tells him to do. That's another lesson, but I just want you to understand that Satan's on the payroll. He works for the Most High. So you guys give Satan too much credit. It says here, it said the Most High is going to empower them people to put us in slavery. The Most High gave them the power to take us out of our land because of sin. That's why he made your hearts fat. Gave you the good job, the big house, so you could be content here in this land. And he said he's going to keep y'all like that until what? Till their eyes can't see and they don't hear anymore. It's going to be too late. Judgment. And there be great what? Forsaking in the midst of the land. Man, that's important for you guys to understand. Important for you guys to understand. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's get into the heart of the matter. So we saw in the beginning that they took somebody out the land, right? Okay, and we see here that it wasn't them, it was the Most High that commissioned this to happen. And he put some of them to sleep so they would forget. All this was part of the plan because we were in disobedience the same way we are today. Not keeping no laws, not keeping no commandments, not keeping no precepts. Deuteronomy chapter 28, and let's go from 64 to 68.
All praises. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64.
Time.
And the Most High shall scatter thee among the people from one end of the earth unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
You got to look at that. And the Lord
Verse
shall
65.
scatter thee. Hold up, Salakia. Yeah, you got to understand that. And the Lord shall scatter thee. This is just the confirmation here. I know there's a little bit of delay. I don't understand that. And the Lord shall scatter thee from among the people, from one end of the earth unto the other. So it's the Most High that scattered us. It's the Most High that put us exactly where we are. And thou shalt serve other gods. You got to remember, the only God that the children of Israel ever dealt with is the Most High. Period. We never dealt with other gods once we started dealing with the Most High. Now, I want you to understand that. We only had one God. Now it says here, but the Lord shall give thee give us to another people, send us all over the world, and there we shall serve other gods. Now, why is the key here? Which neither thy fathers have known. So that means all the way back in our generations, we didn't know nothing about, and that's a key. We wouldn't know anything about these gods. So that means the people, the things, the way we worship it now, our fathers didn't worship this way. That's why it said where? Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Even what? Wood and stone. There's the clues. Wood, the cross. Stone, the Kaaba stone. For my Muslim brothers, that Kaaba stone, it's right here in Deuteronomy 28:64. Go ahead, keep going.
Verse 65.
Right.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease,
Mm-hmm.
neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest.
Right.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
Hold up right there. Now, I ain't got to tell you, among these nations, wherever you see so-called African Americans, the so-called black men on any continent, the so-called Mexicans on any continent except the land of Mexico, and their indigenous lands, right? He said, among thy nations thou shalt find no ease. We find no ease here in the United States. Neither shall the sole of the feet have rest. We got no rest. There's no rest here. But the Lord shall give thee what? A trembling heart. It's crazy because so-called African American men, the so-called black men, and the Mexican brothers, and the so-called Indians, when we're driving down the street and we see flashing lights behind us, we tremble because we don't know if we're gonna make it home that night. That's crazy. This is America. But at any time, I could get shot and killed for just being who I am. And that's crazy. But the Most High said he would give us to a nation, right? And find no ease with this nation, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest. But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart and failing eyes and a sorrow of mind. You know, we make up the biggest percentage of the population in the prisons. We make up the biggest percentage of cop on person deaths. You know, we got the highest of everything in this land. You got to understand that. Keep going.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee,
Right.
and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life.
Now, I know you guys have heard this. You know, some people are, you know, my brother's up in New York. You know, if I make it to 18, you know, man, if I can make it to 21,
One, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They don't know if they're going to live or die. No assurance of life here. At any moment, my life can be taken just because the color of my skin, just because of who I am, just because the heritage of what I come from. All right, go ahead.
Verse 67. In the morning thou shalt say, would God if it were evening. And at evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning.
Right.
For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
Right. You know, and we see it. Hold up. It's crazy, Levi, because you see it every day on TV. You can't escape it. It's just they remind you over and over and over and over and over and over again, hey, man, we don't care about you people. Now, I know what a lot of y'all going to say, a lot of these kids out here bad. I understand that, man, but why we the only ones getting killed? Why we the only ones getting thrown in jail? It ain't them. Don't forget, the Most High is doing all this. He's going to use whatever he got to use to whoop us. Right. This is Daddy chastising us. This is his chastisement because why? We don't want to do what we're supposed to do. We want to be in the house running around crazy, and this is the punishment that the Most High has given us. Keep going.
Verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Right.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Right. Hold up.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
Hold up right there. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now you got to remember, the first time the children of Israel went into slavery, Shabbat Shalom, Daryl. The first time that the children of Israel went into slavery, we walked into Egypt. We didn't catch no boats. So I want you to understand that. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with what? Ships. This is a future prophecy. This is in the Eschaton. This is in the end time prophecy because it can't be talking about Egypt the first time because we didn't catch ships to go into slavery then. It said he did what? And the key word, into Egypt again. So that means we're going back into Egypt into what? Slavery again. Keep reading. Thou shalt see it no more.
Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bond men and bond women, and no man shall buy you.
You got to understand. All right, so these group of people were taken on these ships. Remember, the Most High put this on these people because they were living in sin. They wouldn't abide by the commandments. So the Most High brought another nation up against them and used that nation and Satan, the left hand, to punish these people for the sins that they were committing. So now he said, okay, I'm going to take you, bring you back into slavery again, by the way, which I spake it unto thee. It's a prophecy. Thou shalt see no more again. And there you shall be what? Sold unto what? Here we go, that word again. The people that brought us here and the people that are buying us are selling us to our enemies. That word is there again. So the people that sold us unto what? Our enemies. For bondman,
Enemies.
slave man, and for bondwoman, slave woman. And that term there, and no
Slave
man
woman.
shall buy you, means to be redeemed. Nobody can come make bail for you. Nobody can buy you out of this. Nobody can redeem you. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 32.
Uh,
Deuteronomy chapter 32. Shabbat Shalom, and thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight to Kingdom of Israel's United Worldwide Bible Study. Tonight we're talking about deciphering who are the children of Israel. I think it's important for all of us to have an understanding of who are the children of Israel. To my Christian brothers and sisters, please grab a pen and some paper. Write these precepts down, these Bible scriptures, so that you can go back over them later, and hopefully the Most High will open your understanding and allow you to see these things and let it become real to you so you can get some understanding. Deuteronomy chapter 32, let's go to verses 26 through 29.
this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 26. There is none, there's none like unto the God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon heaven in thy help,
Salaki,
and in
Salaki,
his
Salaki,
excellency. Oh,
Salaki, brother. Are you in Deuteronomy chapter 32?
oh, hold on.
That's okay.
Oh, okay, I got it. All right, my bad. That was
Yeah,
at 33. I'm sorry.
yeah, 33. Yeah,
Salakia.
no worries.
All right, here we go. Deuteronomy, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 26.
Uh-huh.
I said I would scatter them into corners, and
Hmm.
I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
Now hold up. This is real important. Remember, this is the third time we heard this. I, the Most High, said I would scatter them into the corners, the four corners of the world, and I would make the remembrance of them to do what? Cease amongst men. Now, before we came to the point in our lives where some of us began to wake up, that name Hebrew Israelite had disappeared from the world. So we see here that it was the Most High that said it was going to make that name disappear from amongst men. Go ahead.
Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest the adversary should behave themselves strangely,
Uh huh.
unless they should say, our hand is high, and the Most High had not done all this.
Uh huh. Keep going.
For they are a nation void of counsel,
Uh huh.
neither is there any understanding in them.
Right. Keep going.
Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider the latter end.
They would consider the latter end, man. Nobody could get an understanding, but okay. The Most High going to make you get understanding. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 59, verse 2.
All praise. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 59, verse 2. But your iniquities have separated between you and your power,
Uh huh.
and your sins have hid his face from you,
Uh
that he
huh.
will not hear.
Right. You got to understand this. Here in Isaiah chapter 59, verse 2, it says, but what? Our iniquities have separated the Most High from us. If you go back in the book of Deuteronomy, I believe it is, it said that his spirit was not, no, in Genesis, Salakia, that his spirit was not always going to strive with man, right? So
Right.
sin has separated us from the Most High. And then what? See, a lot of Christians say, oh, I'm praying God hears me. What's this word say here? That he will not hear. He don't listen to you, because you are not keeping those laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's go to Hosea chapter 5. Hosea chapter 5. Yeah, Hosea chapter 5 and verse 15.
All praise. This is the book of Hosea, chapter 5, verse 15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense
Right.
and seek my face.
Right.
In their affliction, they will seek me early.
See, the Most High said, look, I got to get up out of here. I'm going back to where I come from till they acknowledge their offense, right, and seek my face. See, in the land that we're at, we have to acknowledge our offense to the Most High, that we have been living in sin. And as we begin to seek his face in their affliction, we got to seek him. And this is our affliction. So now what's happening? Some of us are beginning to wake up and have an understanding that we are the children of Israel. We have to be. Because as I begin to look through this book, I begin to see that these things fit a particular group of people. And I just thank the Most High that I'm one of them. So let's go into, Hosea chapter 5, verse 15. It says, I will go and return to my place till they seek and till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. Okay? So the Most High is not going to come back till we acknowledge our offenses and we begin to seek his face, right? Let's go into the wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha. For those of you that don't know what the Apocrypha is, the Apocrypha is 14 books that the Methodist Church had taken out of the Bible. If you go back and look at the original 1611 King James Version of the Bible, or any early Bible, the Septuagint and those books before, it will have the Apocrypha in it. Just the King James Version from later printings took the Apocrypha out because when the Methodist Church separated from the Roman Catholic Church, they took those books out. But those books contain the history in between what we call the so-called Old Testament and what we call the New Testament. It gives all the information, it links. And the other thing, I'm going to give you Christians a little sneak peek. You don't find anywhere about the Greek captivity except in the book of Maccabees. The New Testament jumps right in with the Romans. So you have to go into the book of Maccabees to get an understanding about the Greek captivity and who had us in captivity. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 2 through 5.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 2. For he will be found of them that tempt him not, and showeth himself unto such as do not distrust him. For froward thoughts separate from Yahweh, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise. For into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter.
It's not going to enter into a malicious soul. Go ahead.
Nor dwell in the body that is subject to sin.
Right. So if you're walking around and yourself is subject to sin, wisdom ain't going to enter. This is what the Bible's saying. Go ahead.
For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit.
The Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit. Go ahead.
And remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in.
Right. So you got to understand. So if you're looking for wisdom and understand the Holy Spirit, it's not going to dwell of you if your body is subject to sin. So if you've been running around sinning, don't come to me with no God said or God told me or I've been studying. No, you ain't been doing that. You're lying. The Most High is clear in his word. If you're walking in sin, the Holy Spirit don't dwell with you. Wisdom won't give you understanding. So I just want you to understand that. This is how serious this is. Okay? We finished that off? Yeah, we finished that off. Let's go into Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 18.
You said 3 and 18, correct?
Yeah.
3 and 18?
Yes, kind of.
Okay. This is the book of This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 18. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that Yahweh might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
Right, that they are beasts. See, the whole thing, the Most High is going to put you in that low state. So you have no other way but to come out, but to look to something different that you ain't been doing. Let's go to Psalm chapter 49. Psalm chapter 49, and we're going to read verses 12 through 14. So what I'm saying, my Christian brothers and sisters, as you are following through and listening to this, write these precepts down so that you can go back over and read them for yourself. That's the only way that you are going to learn. Psalm chapter 49, we're going to read verses 12 through 14.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 49, verse 12. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. This is their way. This their way is their folly. Yet their posterity approves their saying, Selah. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them. And in the morning and in their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwelling.
And they're grave from their dwelling. You got to understand that. You know, the Most High here is talking about that we have to understand that don't be afraid when, things are going wrong. And you don't seem like you have any kind of way out. That stage is there so that you can turn back to some type of understanding and understand that you are not where you're supposed to be. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them. Okay. And the upright shall have what? Dominion over them in the morning. And their beauty shall consume what? In the grave from their dwelling. You think you are booty, you're going to be in the grave. So we got to have an understanding. Everything that how we are thinking is in direct contradiction to the Most High. Let's go into Psalms chapter 44. The book of Psalms chapter 44. And we're going to read verses 22.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 44, verse 22.
Uh-huh.
Yea, for thy sake are we killed all the day long.
Uh-huh.
We are counted as sheep for the slaughter.
Man, think about that. These people, what? For the sake of the Most High, are killed all day long. We are counted what? Sheep for the slaughter. Unfortunately, man, in the land that we live in, you can be a black man and you can get killed, and the cop that killed you won't even go to jail. This is the United States. This is where we live. This is the world we live in.
Right.
I just want you to understand that. Psalm chapter 44, verse 22. For thy sake are we killed all day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Jeremiah chapter 50. Let's go there. Jeremiah chapter 50. You can take your time. You can get there. I had to catch up with you. I had to open that blue letter so I got to read and read along with you. Shabbat Shalom, family. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide's Bible study. Tonight we're talking about deciphering who are the children of Israel. We're going through the Bible tonight and we're taking these clues and we're writing them down with these precepts. Okay, this will happen to them. They're killed. They're out like slaughter for sheep. We were taken out of our land and brought into other lands, given to another people. All these things are what we call clues. So as you begin to build your puzzle, you begin to glean understanding. As you glean understanding and see that some of the things you're doing wrong in your life, you begin to do them right, then the Most High will open up a little more understanding to you, and a little more understanding, and a little more understanding. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50 and verses 6 and 7.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
My people have been lost sheep.
Con.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Con, hold up right there. My
They
people
have
have been
turned.
what? Salaki, hold on 1 second. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. So that means the people that have had authority over us have caused us to go astray. And here, if we live in the United States, all these preachers and pastors have 60 different religions. And they try to get you to come to all these different religions and understanding so that they can stay in a 15,000 square foot house, so that they can drive a Bentley, so they can ride in a $76 million plane, so that they can live in a $43 million house right over here in River Oaks. Yeah. It says the shepherds have caused them to go astray. Go ahead.
They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill, and they have forgotten their resting place.
Right. So, in mountain, sometimes here in the Bible can be synonymous with kingdom. So it's like basically you left the kingdom and went down to the hill. So if you read in the New Testament, another precept for that is if you're talking about the one that prepared the meal and he decided to go out and live. And when he bethought himself, he was in there with the pigs. His daddy was the boss. And you left from the house and went out amongst the people. You left from being on the mountain and went down to the hill and became like regular people. And it says what? They have forgotten their resting place. We were always supposed to be at the top. Not to say that we were better than anybody else. Not to say that we knew it all. But the Most High had mercy and made covenants with our forefathers. Like it says, he didn't choose us because we were the biggest or the best. It says he chose us, and we have to understand that. Keep going.
All that found them have devoured them.
Stop.
And their adversaries.
Stop. I know there's a little delay. I'm sorry about that. All them that have found them have what? Devoured them. We went into Egyptian captivity. Stayed there for a long time. We went into the Babylonian captivity. We went into the Assyrian captivity. We went into the Persians and Medes captivity. Then we went into the Greek captivity. And then we went into the Roman captivity. That's 6 captivities we've been in. Because we are a hard-headed, stiff-necked people. And it says all that found us, what? Devoured us. They ate our culture up. They used us to build their kingdoms. And kept us as slaves. Keep going.
And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Most High.
Stop, because what? They knew.
The habitation of justice.
Stop. Salaki, we offend not, because they have what? Sinned against the Most High. So they know it. That everybody knows who we are. But they know we've sinned against the Most High, so there ain't no offense. We can kill them. We've been given permission. We can put them in jail. We've been given permission. Because what? And the Most High said, until they what? Repent. Until they what? Seek my face. You can continue to do what you want to do. Go ahead.
We offend not, because they have sinned against the Most High, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers.
See, because of the hope of their fathers. See, he made a covenant with our forefathers. But, we forgot all about that, man. We forgot all about that. And we're in sin, and as long as we're in sin, they're allowed to have their way with us. Let's go to Jude chapter 5. Jude chapter 5. Okay, yeah, I got to pick it up for y'all. Jude chapter 5. If you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and put them in the comment box. I know we have officers that are on the chats on YouTube and also Facebook on all of our pages. So if you guys got any questions or any comments that you want to go ahead, put them in the box. Again, thank you for tuning in tonight and studying with us. Please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. That would really help out our algorithm. Please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Jude chapter 5. Verses 17 through 20.
Jude, okay. Jude, you only got one chapter, right? In Jude.
Oh, Judges. I'm sorry. No. My bad. Judges. Salakia.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote an abbreviation down and it looked like Jude to me, but man, if you see my handwriting, I'm over here looking at it twice. Like, wait a minute, did I write that?
This is the book of Judges, chapter 5. And you said verse 17?
Yeah, 17 through 20.
Verse 17. Gilead abode beyond Jordan. And why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the sea.
Right.
Shore and abode in his breaches. Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeopardized their lives unto the death in the high places of the field.
Right. So we see here you talk about Zebulun and Naphtali and Dan and Asher. So we see here they're giving some clues to where these people and what they may be doing. So I just want you to pay attention to that, where these people are and what they're doing. All right, let's go to Psalms chapter 83. Psalms chapter 83 and verses 2 through 8.
This is the book of Psalms 83, verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Right. You got to remember here.
Come.
Salakia. There in verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, right? And consulted against the hidden ones. Remember it said that the name would be cut off? So the hidden ones, name cut off. Go ahead.
They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance.
No more in remembrance. Go ahead.
But they have consulted together with one consent, and they are confederate against thee.
Confederate means they're against
the tabernacles of Edom.
Tabernacles of Edom. Hold up. Go through these slow. Okay. The tabernacles of Edom. Go ahead.
And the Ishmaelites.
Right.
And Moab.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
And the Hagarine.
Right. Keep going.
Gibel. And,
right.
And Ammon.
And
Amalek. The Philistines. Which with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Tyre. Go ahead.
Ashur also is joined with them, and they have helped the children of Lot.
And they have helped hoping the children of Lot. Now look, I could just give you who these people are, right? I could go through and tell you exactly who they are. But what good is it going to do? Because you wouldn't know. So what I'm going to challenge you tonight to do, everybody that's viewing, for those of you that are part of Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide, Chaziel will be teaching tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I would like to see all of you that are watching this broadcast tonight to go on to his broadcast and put who these people are through your own research. I don't want to tell you. From verses 6 through 9.
8.
Yeah, that's 8 there, but I just 6 through 9. I didn't read all of them. And I can give you some keys. It's pretty much the whole world. It's pretty much the whole world. But go through, find out who the people of Edom are. Who are the Ishmaelites? Who are the Moabites? Who are the Hagarenes? Gabal and Ammon and what? Amalek. And the Philistines. Find out who the Philistines are. And the thing about it is, let me tell you something. All of these nations, you got to go back. Remember, they have taken crafty counsel from what? Being a nation. So these people we're talking about are nations of people, not individuals. These are whole nations, because the whole nation of Israel was hidden because they took crafty counsel to wipe the name of Israel from the face of the earth. These nations, Edom is a nation. The Ishmaelites is a nation. The Moabites are a nation. The Hagarenes are a nation. And these people are still walking the earth today. So tomorrow, 2 o'clock, have it in there. For those of you here, get up in the morning while you're drinking coffee. You can Google a lot of it. It'll tell you. Some of it, you might have to do a little homework. But you'll find out who these people are. So all these people took crafty counsel against the children of Israel. Right? Because the Most High gave us into their hands. And so they took crafty counsel and said, shoot, we can use these people forever because they don't know who they are. But the Most High always had to. He always kept a remnant that would remember who he is and who we are, and that knowledge would get passed down. And that every once in a while, the Most High would raise up the prophets of the Most High to go back into the world to deliver his word. So those that he drawed unto him would hear this word, and it would resonate with their spirit, and that these words would become alive to them, and we would go out and tell the world that we are the children of Israel. We are the people that are in this book. Okay, let's go to Psalm chapter 64. Psalm chapter 64. And 6.
All praises. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 64, verse 6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
Right. And the heart is deep. You got to understand the mind is deep. So they searched out the iniquities. They accomplished a diligent search, both inward. Every one of us has to do that. And the heart, what is deep? All right, let's go into Proverbs chapter 2. Proverbs chapter 2. And we're going to read verses 10 through 19.
This book of Proverbs, chapter 2, verse 10.
When
wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things, who leave the path of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness.
Right. You
rejoice to do evil.
Hold on right there. You always notice that to go do something wrong, you really have to go do it. To do right, you don't really have to do anything. Most people don't understand that. To do wrong, you got to go do it. To do right, all you have to do is be who you are. That's why it says you leave the paths of righteousness to go walk in the paths of darkness. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Who rejoice to do evil and delight in the frowardness of the wicked.
Keep going.
Whose ways are crooked, and they forward in their paths.
Right.
To deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
Oh yeah, man.
which forsake.
That. If you married, you got these sisters out here that's trying to take you from your wife. You
Uh-huh.
out here sneaking around thinking nobody don't see you. You don't forget the Most High sees everything. You can't hide. And don't forget, everything that's done in the dark will always be brought to the light. So you got to understand, don't stop paying attention to these smooth words. But it says, you rejoice to do evil. You delight in frowardness. You like the crooked paths. You think you slick. You're getting away with everything. Go ahead.
Verse 17, which
Time.
forsaketh the God of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her power.
Right. So you got to
For
understand,
her
too.
house,
Go ahead. Finish it off. Salakia, go ahead. No, go ahead.
for her house inclined into death, and her paths unto the dead. None that go unto her return again, neither take they holds of the path of life.
Right? Because, man, once you start going down that path, what you're doing is playing to the flesh. And if the flesh is evil. So, the flesh wants what it wants. So it's going to keep you down that wicked path. But you got to understand, think with your heart, your mind. You're more than that. It's important to understand that. As men, you got to be men. How you letting a woman play you out of your position? Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner,
Uh-huh.
and the ass his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people do not consider.
Now, let me ask you this, man. An ox, a cow know who owns them. How does an animal know who owns them? Whoever feeds them, there's got to be something to him. So he knows that person feeds him. So that's how an ox knoweth his owner. And the ass, a donkey, you could drop an ass 100 miles away from the house, and he knows how to find his way back home. True story. Let me tell you something. True story. We had a Rottweiler. We had to give the Rottweiler away because she got too big. Her name was Veda. And we gave it to one of our good friends named Lisa. Lisa lived cross town, maybe 10, 15 miles away from the house. Man, my dog was at the front door in the morning. At the front door of my house. Man, they know their way home. But it says what? But Israel don't know nothing. Don't know where you came from. Don't know your history. You don't know who your God is. And what's even bad, because remember when he said make them fat back there, make their ears heavy and their eyes closed? He said you don't even consider that you might be the people of the book. You don't even consider that. So it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You don't even think that you're the people of the book. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. Salakia.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 5, verse 1. My son, attend to my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge.
Keep knowledge.
For the
Keep going.
lips of a strange woman.
Go ahead.
For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil.
Keep going.
But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell.
Yeah, so when you're living in your sin and you get caught in it, man, it's a terrible thing. You're out there, you thought you done got away with it, but it's telling you she take her steps in hell. But it's just like the honeycomb, the lips of a strange woman, it tastes sweet. Why are you doing what you're doing, being slick, tastes sweet, smooth. You know, you think you're getting away with everything, but what? Her feet go down the way of death. Because if you keep living in sin, you're going to die spiritually and physically. It's important for you to understand that. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 5. Oh, it's after 9 o'clock. I got to either speed up or I'll have to continue on another lesson. Isaiah chapter 5. Isaiah chapter 5, verses 13 and 14. All praises, all praises. Thank you for tuning in tonight to Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide. I am Second Officer Abraham Yasharahla. Reading for me tonight is Levi Ben Israel. We thank you for tuning in tonight for your Shabbat study with us. And we're talking about Israel, right? They were sleeping, but now they're beginning to wake up. And so as they begin to wake up, we got to spread this word of who are the children of Israel. Now, early in the lesson, if you didn't get it, if you're just tuning in now, we went through and talking about some of the things that the Most High put on the children of Israel. Then we went into how he brought us into slavery and put us and gave us over to a certain people that would be our enemies, right? We went over the precepts. And then, so now we're talking about sin. Why are we still in the position that we're in? Is because we don't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. We've been in Daddy's house, we're tearing the house down, and he's placing these punishments on us so that we would repent and turn back to the Father. That's why it's understanding that we have to get back to the word of the Most High and keep these commandments. Isaiah chapter 5, let's read verses 13 and 14.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
So you got to understand that.
Therefore, hell had enlarged.
All praises. Therefore, my people are what? Gone into captivity because what? They don't have any knowledge of self. We don't know who we are. And their honorable men are what? We're famished. The prophets of the Most High in the land, and we're preaching the word of the Most High, but we see that we're still hungry because we don't see the people waking up. Their multitude is what? Drying up. But as we leave, more prophets will come and more prophets will come until enough of us get back to keeping these commandments. That's what we're here for. We're here to bring you back to help you keep these commandments so that we can wrap this thing up. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Therefore, hell had enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it.
Keep on.
Verse 15. And the mean man shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled.
Right. Keep going.
But the Lord of hosts shall be exalted in judgment. Yahweh is holy. Yahweh, that is the God that is holy, shall be sanctified in righteousness.
Right. So you got to understand. See, the Most High is going to be exalted. How is he going to be exalted? In his judgment. Because through his judgment, he will chastise us back into the covenant that he made with us. And so in his judgment, he's going to be exalted. Why? Holy and sanctified in what? That's his righteousness. Okay? You have to understand that everything is being orchestrated by the Most High. Everything that's going on with us is orchestrated by the Most High. Let's go to Revelation chapter 11. Yeah, Revelation chapter 11, verses 8 through 11.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verses 8. Verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Gomorrah.
Uh-huh.
where also Yahushua was crucified.
All right, now hold on here. Listen. Now, it says their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city. Okay. Which is what? Spiritually is called what? Sodom. You know what happened to Sodom? That's what Lot was. And they wanted to come in and sleep with the angels. He had to give them his daughters. Men with men, women with women, boys with girls, and all kind of other stuff was going on, which is spiritually called Sodom. Now, I'm not saying the United States fits that bill, but you might want to take a look at it. And what? Egypt, the place of bondage. So while all the things that were going on in Sodom and in Egypt, wait a minute, man, that don't line up. Why is that there? It says it's spiritually called Sodom because of the acts of the Sodomites are going on in our captivity. Check. Where what? Our Lord Yahushua was crucified. So you got to understand that. All right, let's go to verse 9. Verse 9. Verse 9.
Verse 9. And they of the kindreds, Slakia, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
Right, keep going.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth.
Right, keep going.
And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell upon all them which saw them.
Right, so you got to understand this. This is future prophecy talking about the land in the end time. Now, I'm not going to get into the eschatology of it right now, but I wanted you to understand that what was going on in this place is the acts of the Sodomites, right? And Egypt is also what? Synonymous for captivity. Remember, it said he was going to bring you back into Egypt again with ships. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, right? So I wanted you to understand that in this land of our captivity, what is going on is like the Sodomites, same-sex marriage. We know it. It's here in the United States. Men with men, women with women, men with animals, women with animals. All these things are going on here in this land now. Okay, so now let's go to Baruch chapter 4 and verse 1. I'm only going to keep you to 9:30. If I can't finish it by 9:30, then I'll have to finish this off another day. Let's go to Baruch. No, Salakia. Baruch chapter 4, verse 1.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of Yahweh, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
Woo! Read that again, man. Powerful.
This is the book of the commandments of Yahweh, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
Shall die. So it says if you leave the book of the law, the commandments, it's plain and clear. You're going to die, and that's what's happening to us. It said what? They're going to be laying in the streets. Now, that's the witnesses, but that's symbolic of what's going to happen to us. The children of Israel laying dead in the streets. You see it all the time. You ain't got to be a rocket scientist to put these puzzles together. All right, let's go to John chapter 6 and verse 63. John chapter 6 and verse 63.
This is the book of John, chapter 6, verse 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profited nothing. The words I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
Now, some of us, that's going to go over your head because you ain't going to understand that, right? 663 said is the spirit that quickeneth. What? It's the most high spirit that quickens our spirit, right? Your flesh ain't going to profit nothing. It don't matter how much money you are, how much you got in status, who you are. If the Most High don't give you a spirit, it ain't with you. Period. The words that I am speaking right now, Second Officer Abraham Yasharahla, they are what? They are spirit. So if these words are bearing witness with your spirit, then they what? And they are life. These words will change your life. All right, let's go. Matthew chapter 9 and verse 35 and 36.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 35.
Uh-huh.
And Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
Right. So hold up. That's another story. We ain't going to get into it. But look, healing every disease among the people. Go ahead.
But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd.
So when Christ came back, man, he looked at the people. He's like, man, it's worse than I thought it was going to be. Because these people, what? Remember, it said their eyes would faint, that they would be longing, because they were scared. And he looked abroad and he saw, man, he's like, these people are running around with sheep. That's what he equates us with. Because, sheep will follow shepherds anywhere. Okay, let's go to Matthew chapter 10. One chapter over. Matthew chapter 10 and verses 5 through 6.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not.
Stop. I'm gonna bring you up to point now. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, Almighty King. Tonight we're talking about a very important subject, right? We're talking about who are the children of Israel, right? Israel is sleeping, but now they're beginning to wake up. So in the beginning, if you just tuning in now, pay attention. Go back to the beginning of the video after we finish with this video, and you will see we gave you clues on who put us in the state that we're in, how we were put in the state, what nation took us into this state, and they were given permission to do these things, right? Then it tells you that if we bethink ourselves in this land, if we turn back to the Father, right, that he'll forgive us and return back to us. Now we see here that redemption is coming through Christ because he sent his son to come redeem those that are lost. And when Christ came here, he saw that we were so lost. So they put the plan in action to go. All right, we got to go. That's why the Bible says if the days weren't shortened, he would lose all of us. So he shortened the days and he had to send Yahushua back to raise up the prophets to begin to wake his people up. That's why we have been waking up exponentially since Christ has been here. Every generation, more and more of us are waking up to the knowledge of who we are. Those curses in Deuteronomy 28 don't fit nobody else in the world. Nobody else was taken away in slave ships. Nobody served listen to me, two terms in Egypt. The physical Egypt there and the spiritual Egypt, Babylon. Nobody else went into Greek captivity, Persian, Medes, and the Romans, except the children of Israel. Nobody else's name was wiped from the face of the earth. It says that when the transatlantic slave trade happened, we came over here to the Americas, we didn't even know who we were in 2 generations. We didn't know who our God was, who our grandparents were, what our culture was, what food we ate, what land we came from. We didn't know any of those things. But the Most High always kept a remnant. So here in the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 5, he says, these 12 Jesus sent forth. Go ahead.
And commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the
Uh-huh.
and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not.
Right, go ahead.
but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So Christ listened. He said, look, don't go out to the Gentiles, the heathen nations. Don't go over to the Samaritans, because I know y'all kind of close with them or warring with them. Don't go over there. He said, enter ye not. He said, but go rather to what? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. You got to remember, how are you going to know who the lost sheep is? Remember what he told you back, that his spirit would be put in you and your spirit would bear witness to the words, these words in the book, and they would begin to do what? Heal you, because they are life. The words in this book is life. And when your spirit hears these words, they begin to resonate with your spirit because you come from the Most High. Okay? So he said, go rather not into the house of the Gentiles or the Samaritans. He said, but go find the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15, verse 24.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24.
Con.
But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Con, this is Yahawashi. Yahawashi sent the 12 out. Right? And then a woman came up to him. You can go back and look at the story. Said, listen, I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's it. That's who I'm for. That's who I'm looking for. I'm not dealing with any of the other nations. You got to understand that. This is a personal thing. Let's go to John chapter 10. John chapter 10, verses 1 through 4.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, is the same as a thief and a robber.
Right. So if you're not one of the sheep, that's the only way you can get in the door. He that tries to come in some other way, proclaiming that you are the children of Israel, is what? The same as a thief and a robber. That's what the Most High considers you. You're a thief and a robber. Only the sheep come through. Go ahead.
But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep.
Right. The one that comes through the door is the shepherd. Keep going.
To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out.
By their name. Why does that name resonate with the brothers that awoke? That name, Hebrew Israelites, means something because it's our nationality. It's our heritage. It's who we are. It's not a religion. Keep going.
And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, but they know his voice.
Right, Khan. So when we hear these words from the Most High in the word of the Bible, that word speaks to our spirit. And that spirit begins to awaken up and quicken us, as the Bible said earlier. And then we are led out by the Most High as prophets to go bring this word to the world so that his other sheep can hear it. It's important to understand that. Skip down to verse 14.
Verse 14. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine.
Right. See? We know who the Yahawashi is. And amongst us, everybody knows. And we know who's his. Those that keep those commandments, because there is no difference from me or to brother Levi. We have to do the same thing. We got to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. Period. Point blank. If you're not, remember he said earlier, he don't even hear you. And I could have got so precept heavy into this lesson and give you these scriptures. It said the prayers of the unrighteous is an abomination. He don't even hear you. We read earlier, he said he don't even hear you. If you're walking in sin, you're not living righteously, all that you talking about, you talking to the Most High, he don't hear you. He can't dwell where sin is. All right, let's go to Romans chapter 13. Romans chapter 13. I might even make it. Romans chapter 13, verses 11 through 14.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now is the high time to awake out of sleep.
Uh-huh.
For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
Right. Keep going.
The night is far spent, and the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light.
Right. Keep going.
Let us walk honestly in the as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering or wantonness, not in strife and envying,
Right. Keep
but
going.
but put ye on Hamashiach Yahushua, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
Right. So you want to feel the lust of the flesh. We ain't gonna even get into all that. But the whole thing is like put the old man off. It's time for you to wake up, get yourself right with the Most High, and begin to walk righteously, not circumspectly. Let's go. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. All praises, sis. All praises. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 34.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 34. Awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of Yahweh. I speak this to your shame.
Man, how does everybody not know, man? And remember, I told you the story earlier. Why do you keep perpetuating everything else, and you know that you don't fit in nowhere else? You don't fit in Christianity. I don't understand it. This is psychosis. This is real psychosis. We go to the same church. We believe in the same God. We live in the same neighborhoods. But I can get shot in my head at any given time. But we believe in the same God. Wait a minute. Something's wrong.
I'm
The
wrong
Bible
with that
says,
scripture.
listen, awake to righteousness, sin not. For some have not the knowledge of Elohim. Some of y'all ain't just got the knowledge. I speak this to your shame, really. Because if you don't know, man, you better find out real quick. Let's go to Baruch chapter 2. Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30.
This
For
is the
those
book of Baruch.
of
Oh,
Salakia,
this,
those that don't have an understanding, Baruch is in that apocrypha I was telling you about. If you don't have an apocrypha, go ahead and write this precept down, Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30. That way you can go back and look online. You can Google. They have the apocrypha online where you can take a look at it. Baruch chapter 2 verses 30 through 33.
this is the book of Baruch, chapter 2, verse 30.
Uh-huh.
For I know that they would not hear me,
Right.
because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves.
Oh, wait a minute. Look at that, man. I said that earlier. What? Stiff-necked people. But in the land of where? Their captivity, they shall what? Remember themselves. Go ahead.
And shall know that I am the Most High, their power. For I
Most
will
High,
give,
their power. Go ahead.
for I will give them a heart and ears to hear.
Wait a minute. Remember we said it, we heard earlier that he was going to give them a heart that they wouldn't hear and eyes they couldn't see. Now he's giving us a heart and ears to hear. So okay. So if we remember he said if we bethink ourselves that if we go back now he's saying the same thing. Keep going.
And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and
Uh-huh.
think upon my name,
Think upon my name, and his name is not God. He has a name. His name is Yahweh. Right? Keep going.
and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds. For they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before Yahweh.
Right. So you got to remember, they got to think of the ways they were doing. Remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. So if every generation we're supposed to be better. Unfortunately, I don't know. You might have ran out of time. The way it's looking right now, this thing could wrap up at any minute. But return from their stiff neck and their wicked deeds. Man, return back to these law, statute, commandments, and remember the way of our fathers that we walked with the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 34. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers,
Uh-huh.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
Uh-huh.
and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished.
Right. Now, let's go to Ephesians chapter 5. I'm almost there, guys. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 14.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 14. Wherefore, he said, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light.
Right. He said, awake from thou sleepest. We've been asleep, guys, and arise from the dead. That's how we're walking around like dead men. Christ is going to give us light. You understand that? Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Let's go from verses 5 through 11.
This is the book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 5. Ye are all children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night.
Right.
But
Keep
let,
going.
but let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for the helmet a hope, the hope of salvation. For Yahweh had not appointed us unto wrath, but unto salvation, but to obtain that salvation through our Lord Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai,
Con. Go ahead.
who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep shall live together with him.
Crime. So a lot of people don't understand that verse 10. It said, who died for us that whether we wake or sleep,
Sleep.
because some of us are still sleeping, right? We should live together with him. Now, there's a prophecy that all of Israel will be saved in the end. That's another whole lesson, but that correlates with 1 Thessalonians 5 and 10 right there. Okay, continue on.
Verse 11. Wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also ye do.
Right. So the comfort, this is how I find comfort. When I'm talking to my brother Levi or Chaziel, and we're chopping these scriptures up and we're comparing what's going on in the world and what we're seeing in the scripts today, I have comfort. Then faith becomes real to you because you see what the Most High is doing in the land and you understand that Yahweh Shai is getting ready to come back. This thing is getting ready to conclude and we can get out of this hell that we're in because that's where we are, in hell. Contrary to popular belief, this might be a debate coming up. The heaven and hell that you believe that you're going up to heaven with the Most High and there's a real hell in the earth somewhere, it doesn't exist. That's a Christian thought. That's something that they made up in Christian church. There is no heaven where everybody's going. There's no hell where you're going to burn up in the middle of the earth with that red devil with the pitchfork. There ain't none of that. If you don't like it, research it. Let's go. Dan chapter 12 and verse 2. All I want you to do is think. Think for yourselves. I don't want to think for you. I'm not being facetious. I want you to really understand that. Take these precepts that we're giving you. Go back and read this for yourself so that the Most High can tug at your spirit and let you know that you are the children of Israel and that he'll quicken in your spirit so you can begin to come awake and begin to reach and teach your brothers. Let's go. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 2.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
Because I think me and Chazzy Cap was talking about this one night, Brother Levi. Look, so, all the people that died that are in the earth, man, and you lived your life, you know how real it's going to be? Like, you dead, you just wake up, and now you being judged by the Most High.
Man.
Like you didn't escape. You thought all that wickedness you did through your whole life, all that evil and that sin that you live, and oh, I'm dead now. I'm in the ground, and then you get snatched up by Yahweh Shai, and you getting ready to come back and face judgment for all that sin that you did. It says those that were in the grave, he's gonna wake them up. You can't escape this judgment from the Most High. The only thing you can get right is now while you got breath in your body. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 2. 2nd Ezra chapter 2. This again is in the Apocrypha. 2nd Ezra chapter 2 and verse 16.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, verse 16. Even those that be dead will I raise up again from their places, and bring them out of the graves. For I have known my name in Israel.
Hey, you can't escape this, man. This is the second witness. One was in the Bible. This is here in the Apocrypha. He said, listen, you're going to wake them up out the grave. You can't escape this judgment. For I have known my name in Israel. You're going to know who the real Most High is, because he's going to wake up the dead and judge them. Okay? Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Chapter 5, verses 4 through 7.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verse 4. When thou vowest a vow unto Yahweh, defer not to pay it.
No.
Well,
Ecclesiasticus. I'm sorry. Sirach and Apocrypha. My bad. That's my fault. Yeah, you'll hear me use the term back and forth, Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. That's why we call it Sirach, because of just what just happened. You say Ecclesiastes, sometimes you might have a slip of the tongue, and you're going into the Bible, into Ecclesiastes to look, but this is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, and so that's why sometimes you'll hear people say the word Sirach instead of Ecclesiasticus, so it doesn't get confusing. So we're going into the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 5, verses 4 through 7. That was my fault.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Say not, I have sinned, and what harm had happened unto me. For the Most High is long-suffering, and he will in no wise let thee go.
Uh-huh.
Concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin.
Right, because you ain't going to get away from it. Don't keep living in sin to sin. You heard what was going to happen. He'll wake you out the dead. Go ahead.
And say not his mercy is great.
Right. Stop right there. Stop. This is a key point for my Christian brothers and sisters. And say not his mercy is great. Don't think that all you have to do is believe in what you call Jesus Christ. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to keep no laws, no statutes or commandments. And that you can do what? Verse 5, add sin to sin, keep sinning. You were cheating, doing all this, robbing, stealing, murdering, raping your whole life, and you think that you got away with it. Well, no. His mercy is not that great. You're going to pay for those things that you did. Keep going.
He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins.
Mm-hmm.
For mercy and wrath come from him.
Right, both mercy and wrath. Remember, I told you stop giving all that credit to Satan. It comes from the Most High. Satan's on the payroll. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna tell y'all what I'm gonna do, but go ahead.
And his indignation rested upon sinners.
Right. Keep going.
Make no tarrying to turn to the Most High.
Right. Verse 2, key point. Hold up, Salaki. My fault, Levi. Make no tarry to turn unto the Lord. If you hear this word, and this word is resonating with your spirit, and you feeling that you need to really get back into, don't make no tarry. Because you only endure until you either die in this life or till Yahweh Shai comes back. So don't make no tarry to the Lord. Keep going.
And put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord of the Most High come forth. In
Right.
thy
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and in thy security shalt thou be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance.
Kind of the precept for that, and I'm not going to go into that. Nobody knows the day or the hour when the Most High is going to send Yahweh back, right? So you got
Right.
security in your foolishness that you out there think that the Most High don't see what you're doing. That suddenly the wrath is going to come. So we don't know if he might come now, tomorrow, the next. We don't know when the Most High going to come. But if he comes and you still living in sin, hey man, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to perish in the day of his vengeance. Okay. And you got to really understand that. Don't wait. Don't make haste to return to the Lord because you might run out of time. Let's go to Psalm chapter 119. No, we're in Ecclesiasticus. Yeah, 5 through 7. We already went through. Okay, yeah. Psalm 119. Psalms 119, verses 59 and 60.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 59. I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies.
Uh-huh.
I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments.
Say, man, that's what you got to do. I thought on my ways, man. Say, listen, for me to sit up and tell you my life story, man, it'd be a book. But I thought about, my life and what was going on. I turned my feet back, to the word, his testimonies. Yahushua, the prophets, the Most High dealing with the people. And I saw that he always had mercy if you return back to him. So I understood that I had to turn back to the Most High. How do I turn back to him? By keeping the commandments, right? That's what don't make no haste. Return back unto these commandments and watch your life change. But see, a lot of them right now, Levi, they're getting them stimulus checks. They're coming up on money. The stock market's going crazy. Everybody's doing good right now. They think everything's bubbling. They think they just got a new president, so-called black vice president, and everything's going to be great this year. Everybody's celebrating. And if you know me, I always tell my kids, my family, anybody that's close to me, oh, you celebrating, huh? You celebrate because you don't think it's real. And see, when you out there celebrating this life, the Most High is putting them checks down, and you're gonna have to pay for that. And so we have to have an understanding of that we got to return back to these commandments. All right, all praises. Listen, oh wow, it's great. This is my last scripture for the night. It's Baruch chapter 4. Baruch chapter 4. Verses 26 through 29.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 26. My delicate ones have gone through rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies.
Say, man, just look at the rough ways that was taken on slave ship. I just like how the Most High put these things together. I mean, it ain't a big thing, but, he threw that in there just to let you know, man, hey, I'm weaved all through this word, and if you got my spirit, you can get understanding from it. Go ahead.
Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh.
Right.
For ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you.
Right.
For as it is your mind to go astray from the Most High, so be in return, seek him 10 times more.
Seek him 10 times more. Keep going.
For he had brought these plagues upon you. You shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation.
Now, is it kind of crazy that I'm ending the study with this? Verse 29, and ending with that verse. For he has brought these plagues upon you. Coronavirus. Shall bring you everlasting joy again with your salvation. The same one that's bringing on this coronavirus is the same one that's going to bring us joy and salvation to those of us that have understanding. So tonight, recap. Went and looked a little bit into the children of Israel. The curses put on the children of Israel, them being given over to other people. then going through the process of returning back to God, having faith in the things that the Most High has for us. The same one that's in control of the world. Don't ever give the devil credit for what is going on in the world today. That is all the Most High. He is chastising his children for being in sin. And if we return back to the Father, he shall bring us everlasting joy again with our salvation. Thank you for tuning in. I am Second Officer Abraham Yasharahla. Thank you to Mr. Levi Ben Israel for reading for me tonight. I know it was kind of tough. You know, I was kind of precept heavy. To my family, Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide, thank you for tuning in tonight. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe the video. If you have some Christian brothers and sisters that you believe that need to hear this video, or give them the precepts. And with that, I'll say shalom.
Shalom.
All praises, my brother. Thank you again for joining me tonight in this battle. To my brothers and sisters, keep up the good fight of faith. Sister Linda, all praises. You guys go back over these precepts. Let the Most High quicken your spirit and begin to bring you into this new life. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.